and undocumented business operators across Uganda. According to the Ministry of Internal Affairs spokesperson Simon Peter Mundei, among those detained were dozens of men and women found in a Bukoto apartment complex without valid immigration documents, as investigations into illegal work permits, visa violations and unlawful business activities continue. Now, more of that story in just a bit, but welcome to the show. My name is Julie F. Nantaba, and immediately kicking it off with the updates from the local scene. Of course, staying with that very story, the Ministry of Internal Affairs has paraded 169 foreign nationals at its headquarters in Kampala following an operation conducted in the Bukoto Ntinda area. The individuals are alleged to have been operating in the country without immigration status. Authorities said that they were residing in a highly restricted apartment and engaging in suspicious activities. Several exhibits, including computers and other IT equipment, were recovered from the apartment, which has since been designated a crime scene. Now, efforts to access the premises were unsuccessful, as access required multiple levels of authorization. Preliminary reports indicate that some of the individuals have been trafficked into Uganda under false promises of employment, and they are currently undergoing screening and processing. Meanwhile, 62 Nigerian nationals were arrested in Ajumani district for operating illegally without valid work permits, including running a church. Immigration spokesperson authorities are advising landlords to exercise greater caution when renting out their properties in order to enhance security. Now, let's move on to cabinet that decided to reinstate the nationwide implementation of the trade order, reversing last week's suspension imposed by Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives David Bahati. At a media briefing in Kampala, the ministers for ICT, local government and Kampala Metropolitan Affairs said in early February 2026, the government of Uganda initiated Kampala Metropolitan Trade Order enforcement, which targeted street vendors and all businesses in ungazetted areas. The operation was extended beyond Kampala to the entire country in March 2026. The exercise later received public outburst, with many condemning the high-handedness of the enforcement team. Following a public outcry last week, State Minister for Trade, Industries and Cooperatives David Bahati told Parliament that government had suspended the operations until June 2026. But again, Cabinet has rescinded Minister David Bahati's communication. Although Parliament and a section of the public supported the suspension, government justifies the reversal of last week's communication. Minister for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs Minsa Kabanda and for local government Raphael Magezi have told the media in Kampala that the enforcement will continue. In the meantime, there is a public outcry of affected persons who seem to be breadwinners and are left hopeless as government resuscitates the trade order. In the meantime, governments seem to have a variety of alternatives. Meanwhile, Minister for Local Government Raphael Magezi has told the public that Cabinet has approved money for elections of LC1, 2 and women elections. Now, bus owners and operators under their umbrella Uganda Bus Owners Association, UBOA, have announced an increase in transport fares on every route due to the rising cost of fuel. During the press conference at UBOA offices in Lubaga, Kampala, they announced that effective today, every trip will increase by between 5,000 to 10,000 shillings. The pump price of fuel has increased at almost every fuel station, which is attributed to the war in the Middle East. The chairperson, Uganda Bus Owners Association, Solomon Simire, announced an increase in fares on every route. This was during a press conference at their offices in Kampala. Simire told the media that effective today, fares on all routes have been increased by 5,000 to 10,000 Uganda shillings, and he said UBOA held discussions with the Ministry of Transport. Passengers have been appealed to remain calm as the situation stabilizes to normal fares. Meanwhile, government will come out to negotiate with the bus owners to reduce the fares, or whether passengers will have to dig deeper into their pockets. And finally, closing what we have on the local scene, the Uganda AIDS Commission and other partners is still bothered with the high number of children infected with HIV through mother-to-child transmission. According to the chairperson of the Uganda AIDS Commission, Dr. Ruth Senyonyi, 4,700 babies were infected with HIV through mother-to-child transmission in 2024. Despite available interventions to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV, a sizable number of babies are accounting for new infections. And according to the chairperson of the Uganda AIDS Commission, in 2024, 4,700 babies were infected with HIV through mother-to-child transmission. She was addressing the journalists in preparation for the International Candlelight Memory Day due to be commemorated in May. Despite the decline, mother-to-child transmission of HIV contributes 13% of all HIV new infections. And according to UNAIDS, Uganda needs to sustain efforts directed towards the fight against HIV in order to achieve the global goal of ending AIDS by 2030. Another area of concern is how women and girls can be empowered to access HIV prevention options, but financial empowerment to reduce transactional relationships. Uganda AIDS Commission 2024 statistics show that there are 37,000 new HIV infections. And that wraps it for what we have on the local scene this morning. Now let's take a trip to the global scene. And starting off with King Charles's visit, King Charles III drew both applause and laughter in his address to a joint meeting of Congress on Tuesday, focusing on the importance of alliances and stressing the long history of the two countries. The very principle on which your Congress was founded, no taxation without representation, was at once a fundamental disagreement between us and at the same time a shared democratic value which you inherited from us, the king said before U.S. lawmakers. Quote unquote, ours is a partnership both of dispute but no less strong for it. The two nations, Britain and the United States, have always been drawn together by their shared values and traditions, he continued. And by Jove, Mr. Speaker, when we have found that way, we too agree what great change is brought about, not just for the benefit of our peoples, but of all peoples, he said. Now moving on, the United Arab Emirates has announced its decision to quit OPEC and OPEC Plus to focus on national interests, dealing a heavy blow to the oil exporting groups at a time when the US-Israel war on Iran has caused a historic energy shock and rattled the global economy. The move, which will take effect on Friday, reflects the UAE's long-term strategic and economic vision and evolving energy profile, a statement carried by state media on Tuesday. During our time in the organization, we made significant contributions and even greater sacrifices for the benefit of all. It added, however, the time has come to focus our efforts on what our national interest dictates. The loss of the UAE, a long-standing OPEC member, could create disarray and weaken the oil cartel, which has usually sought to show a united front despite internal disagreements over a range of issues, from geopolitics to production quotas. UAE Energy Minister Suhail Mohammed Al-Muzairi said the decision was taken after a careful look at the regional powers' energy strategies. Asked whether the UAE consulted with OPEC heavyweight Saudi Arabia, he said the UAE did not raise the issue with any other country. All right, looking at what the African scene has Kenya's President William Ruto has been forced to respond to the backlash over his recent remarks suggesting Nigerian accented English was incomprehensible. Now, his clarification came at a mining conference in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, attended by Nigeria's Minerals Minister Henry Dele Alake, who told the gathering, President Ruto, the people of Nigeria have mandated me to inform and assure you that Nigerians speak good English. Too much laughter. Ruto took to the stage to explain his comments to Kenyans living in Italy last week were intended to be private and had been taken out of context. The fact is that I was talking about how we in Africa speak very good English, all of us, he said. In fact, in some countries like Nigeria, if you do not speak excellent English like the one we speak in Kenya, you may need a translator to understand the excellent English of Nigeria. So that was the comparison, but somebody misrepresented the facts. President Ruto reminded the audience at the Mining Development Conference that Nigerians were his in-laws, that Nigerians were his in-laws. One of his daughters, June, is married to a Nigerian. I want to send my regards to my brothers and sisters in Nigeria. In other words, my in-laws. Well, that brings us to the end of what we have on the foreign scene. Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono is with me this Wednesday, and definitely so will have to give us an update of what we have in the dailies. But before that, Robert, good morning.
Good morning, Julie.
Are you well?
I'm very well.
Where did the rain catch you?
Oh, along the way, and
I can imagine.
Quite flooded.
I can imagine.
My path, and
right.
Sometimes when visibility is not clear, but also not sure of that ground.
I know.
You rather park for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
You can end up in a ditch or something like that, and which would be more dangerous.
And safety is better.
Rightly said.
Right.
Now, I was here yesterday. There is a judge who sentenced a lady to life imprisonment.
Wow. Okay.
Because during COVID-19, this lady attacked her co-wife, and in the process set the house ablaze, and 3 people died, including an infant. So the judge sentenced her to life imprisonment. But later I'll give the details of the breakdown of the count. Now I asked myself, we last had people got hanged in Uganda. That was on the 27th of April, 1999. That was Haji Musa Sebirumbi,
right,
and 27 others, making it 28 people were hanged. Now I kept asking myself, despite the Supreme Court ruling, when are these gallows going to work again? When? Because people who commit such life imprisonment, remember, this person will seek treatment,
right, from
government. This person is fed every day, eating the taxpayers' money. This person is adding on the concession in our prisons. Remember, our prisons are holding 4 times the number they're supposed to hold. So this person is adding on that number. And second, these gallows at least deter. When people hear so and so is going to be hanged on such, and that's why the United States maintains it. Remember Saddam Hussein and some countries. So I wonder why our good president is taking long to pen signature. There is a case I'm eyeing, and I hope that we shall see away from the 1999. Again, we shall have another case to talk about, but I won't mention which case.
It looks quite obvious which case.
I've not mentioned Julie.
But take us through what we have in the dailies this morning.
Well, the new vision, new public service reforms. Government says changes to take effect in July. What are those changes? And the bill, Bank of Uganda speaks out. Of course, now there is no any other bill but that bill.
Right.
Here we have over 1 billion raised for charity. That is MK Run. Over 1 billion shillings. I wish this man's birthday could happen twice a year. If it were possible, because this goes to charity. It's
Right.
a lot of money helping the needy, those in orphanages. Thank you, General MK, for having that good heart and coming up with such an idea. And thank you, Ugandans, for responding to this genuine call. Now, moving on, we have government vows to crack down on, am I saying it right? Skaters? No, stations. Sorry. High fuel prices. Government vows to crack down on stations. Those that are selling fuel extraordinarily expensive.
And even bus fares have just been
You're
risen.
in a crisis, but then when you overdo it, 169 foreigners, hackers arrested. Now imagine, you're in a country committing crimes. Moving
Wow.
on to the Daily Monitor, bill will fail the economy, says Bank of Uganda. Okay, moving on, Uganda gears up for the first oil. Now, when you talk of first oil, we're not talking of first fuel. First oil. And still moving on, in the new vision, owners regret leasing land for growing sugar cane. And I want to see what Julie's friend has here. The lizard. Uganda gears up for first oil. The lizard says some light at the end of the tunnel. And of course, this is not going to be the oil we use in our vehicles.
Right.
It's first going to be crude oil. So the process for that oil you use in your vehicle still going to take some time. Julie, then what do you have outside Uganda?
Right, in Tanzania, that is with the Citizen. The headline there is Chande team on missing persons accountability. That's the headline. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry into last year's election-related unrest has defended its approach to accountability, clarified figures on missing persons, and proposed new oversight mechanisms in the wake of the upheaval. Also still in the Citizen, Tanzania's agenda as Belarus foreign minister starts a 3-day visit, and BRT feasibility studies start in 4 cities. Then government's agriculture plan as it shifts BBT to councils. Also, why free health care for expectant mothers is crucial. Want to know why? Get yourself a copy of The Citizen from the way and vantage of Tanzania. Now let's look at the Daily Nation, and the headline there is State's shocking admission on CBE. Teacher absenteeism as lack of learning resources blamed for situation. And Katakwak again, serving as Ruto's lawyer shouldn't derail my Supreme Court bid. And how the new voters redraw electoral map. Also why mineral-rich Africa must invest in refineries to reap big from wealth. And relief for teachers as SHA scraps co-payments, unlocks overseas treatment. All of those stories from the Daily Nation, bringing us to the end of what we have in the dailies and all the updates this morning. For Good Morning Uganda, a time for us to take a short break, and when we get back, it's another conversation. Just save the number 0709602592. It's a WhatsApp number that you are able to use to contribute to the conversations that we have here on the show. Let's have a short break. We'll be right back. Good morning. Midweek it is. It's a Wednesday and has started as a wet, cloudy Wednesday. Hashtag WCW. Welcome to the show. It is Good Morning Uganda, coming to you live from the Nile Avenue on UBC TV here to inspire Uganda. Now, authorities arrested more than 200 foreigners, that is foreign nationals, in a crackdown targeting illegal immigrants and undocumented business operators across Uganda. According to the Ministry of Internal Affairs spokesperson Simon Peter Mundei, among those detained were dozens of men and women found in a Bukoto apartment complex without valid immigration documents, as investigations into illegal work permits, visa violations and unlawful business activities continue. Now, more of that story in just a bit, but welcome to the show. My name is Julie F. Nantaba, and immediately kicking it off with the updates from the local scene. Of course, staying with that very story, the Ministry of Internal Affairs has paraded 169 foreign nationals at its headquarters in Kampala following an operation conducted in the Bukoto Ntinda area. The individuals are alleged to have been operating in the country without immigration status. Authorities said that they were residing in a highly restricted apartment and engaging in suspicious activities. Several exhibits, including computers and other IT equipment, were recovered from the apartment, which has since been designated a crime scene. Now, efforts to access the premises were unsuccessful as access required multiple levels of authorization. Preliminary reports indicate that some of the individuals have been trafficked into Uganda under false promises of employment, and they are currently undergoing screening and processing. Meanwhile, 62 Nigerian nationals were arrested in Ajumani district for operating illegally without valid work permits, including running a church. Immigration spokesperson authorities are advising landlords to exercise greater caution when renting out their properties in order to enhance security. Now, let's move on to cabinet that decided to reinstate the nationwide implementation of the trade order, reversing last week's suspension imposed by Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives David Bahati. At a media briefing in Kampala, the ministers for ICT, local government and Kampala Metropolitan Affairs said in early February 2026, the government of Uganda initiated Kampala Metropolitan Trade Order enforcement, which targeted street vendors and all businesses in ungazetted areas. The operation was extended beyond Kampala to the entire
technocrat offers when trying to get a country unstuck. The president's reply was striking in its simplicity. "I know what Uganda needs." At first, to others, it might have sounded almost dismissive. But when placed in the context of 40 years of state rebuilding, economic reform, and political stability, it revealed something deeper. A belief that Uganda's path to transformation has been consistent, deliberate, and informed by lived experience rather than theory. His confidence is not based on guesswork. It's based on the journey already traveled. He always stresses that any serious revolutionary discussion about the economy of Uganda, or indeed much of Africa, should include the following questions. 1. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1900, at the dawn of colonialism? 2. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1962, at the sunset of colonialism? 3. How and what was the magnitude of the collapse of the Ugandan economy between 1971 and 1986? Idi Amin, Obote II, Okello. 4. What, therefore, was the economy of Uganda like in 1986? 5. What is the Ugandan economy like today, and why?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Despite available interventions to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV, a sizable number of babies are accounting for new infections. According to the chairperson of the Uganda AIDS Commission, Dr. Ruth Senyonyi, in 2024, 4,700 babies were infected with HIV through mother-to-child transmission. She was addressing journalists in preparation for the International Candlelight Memorial Day due to be commemorated in May. Despite the decline, mother-to-child transmission of HIV contributes 13% of all HIV new infections.
Because having 4,700 babies born with HIV in 2024 is a big number, and therefore we need to reduce that number to almost zero if we are to end AIDS by 2030. Therefore, we want to encourage pregnant women to go for HIV testing, and if found positive, they should be started on treatment and put on the ART treatment as per treatment guidelines.
According to UNAIDS, Uganda needs to sustain efforts directed towards the fight against HIV in order to achieve the global goal of ending AIDS by 2030.
We must also strengthen community-led responses by committing to the global strategy targets and ensure that communities lead at least 30% of services, they deliver 80% of programs, and that 60% of available funding is directed at the grassroots level.
Another area of concern is how women and girls can have access to HIV prevention options and financial empowerment to reduce transactional relationships.
They also need to be given accurate information to make informed choice, because while now LAN is the hot cake, but there are also other prevention options like the prevent vaginal ring, there is the cabotegravir, there is the oral PrEP. All these are options. There is condoms. All these are options. So women must be availed with information on all these options so that they are able to make informed decisions.
Community level is where the fight starts. So if we are to have 30, 80, 60, the community-led, community-based, and financing directed towards the communities, it means we have to go down to the communities and get them the accurate information. So how are we doing this for Candlelight? We're going to 9 cities around the country. That's Jinja, Mbale, Soroti, Gulu, Arua, Fort Portal, Hoima, Mbarara, and Masaka. And we're going to the marketplaces. In the markets, we find that there are quite a number of women there who are working and don't have time to go to the health centers for services. So why don't we take the services to them where they are?
And we cannot underestimate how much power comes with education. Power to negotiate, in case she's in a relationship, her negotiation skill is better. Power to know that when I go to school, I will make money and I will have my own money as a woman, as a girl. I will not depend on a man. I will not engage in transactional sex because I have power. Power is very powerful to a woman, to a young girl.
Uganda AIDS Commission 2024 statistics show that there are 37,000 new HIV infections. Adia Nakute, UBC.
All right, thank you very much for that story. And indeed, it leads us to the conversation we have this morning for the real. But first and foremost, welcome to Good Morning Uganda. In case you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Uganda on UBC TV. And if you started the show with us, thank you always for choosing to start your day with UBC TV. It is Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Always your daily pilots or drivers for the show to start your morning every single day. Now, looking at that story, share your opinion. What effective strategies can be implemented to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of HIV or AIDS? Share your opinion to 0709-602-592 by text WhatsApp. And at UBC TV Uganda, there's a post on there. The hashtag is UBCGMU. Looking at the statistics as broken down by 2024, 4,700 babies were infected with HIV through mother-to-child transmission, and that contributes to 13% of all HIV infections therein. And looking at a bit of the breakdown, national transmission rate is at 2.8%, and the total rate, including breastfeeding therein, is 6.8%, leading to a total of 4,700 infants as of 2024 by statistics. Once again, share your opinion. This is dire, right? But in your opinion, what effective strategies can be implemented to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of HIV or AIDS? Robert, This is dire. This is we're fighting to have dealt with away with this by 2030, and 4,700 is huge for babies, especially. If you think about it.
Now, first, it's a pity.
Very.
And it's regrettable that even with breakthroughs like ARTs, we still see children acquiring HIV/AIDS, which shouldn't be.
What do you think is causing this increase, especially mother to child?
Quite a number of factors, but I want to let the world and Ugandans know that we have a target to end HIV by 2030. And we have a method or a formula to do this. Now, it is very simple. We are saying let 95% of our country's population test for HIV/AIDS. Now, when they test for HIV/AIDS, 95% of those found positive to start on medication. Remember, you want 95% of your population to test for HIV/AIDS. The 95% of those found with HIV/AIDS to start on medication.
Right.
But also 95% of those that start on medication to stay on medication so that they can reduce their viral load. Now, when a person reduces their viral load, if it's a mother, they cannot pass on HIV/AIDS to their baby. Because what happens is the use of antiviral therapy, that is the ARTs, keeps the mother's viral load undetectable. It's just like some people who've been on drugs or antiviral therapy for a long time. I see some in church saying, praise God, I got healed from HIV AIDS. But remember, when you suppress the viral load, you reach a point when you cannot pass on HIV AIDS. So we believe that if the 95 is taken,
right,
come 2030, we will have dealt with new infections, because those that are sick or those that are positive will not be spreading to new people. They'll be on medication. Those that are negative, because they tested and are aware they are negative, they will live responsible lives and not contract HIV AIDS. Now, first, why are we saying this? To begin with, no mother would love to give birth to a child with HIV AIDS. No mother. Any woman, they treasure their offspring, just like men would do. But remember, the mother carries this child for 9 months.
Right.
So no mother knowingly would let the child have HIV passed through birth. Now, this is what happens, Judy. It is evident that most of these mothers do not go for HIV testing in time. That means when they are pregnant, they either don't go for antenatal, that we still have many that give birth through unprofessional people, or through some clinics that don't do HIV testing or don't have these facilities. And it is recommended at least after 2 months, a mother, knowing that you're pregnant, you should start antenatal. Now, when you go to antenatal in an organized health facility and you're a pregnant woman, the first thing they do among the tests they run will be HIV AIDS. Now, these mothers, first thing, I said no mother would love to pass on HIV AIDS to their children. So the first thing is that these mothers do not go to these health facilities where they should go to, so they don't get to know their HIV status. 2, if they go to facilities, then many of them do not have access to the ARTs, so that their viral load is reduced, and the people they go to, they do not disclose that immediately after birth, this baby gets the medication and then has good feeding recommended. So you don't know your status, or you go to these clinics. You know, now we have nurses, midwives who will be able to help a woman give birth.
Right.
Because a hospital, a health facility will put you on medication. When the baby is born, they'll make sure immediately after birth, this baby gets the medication he or she is supposed to get, and then they will advise you on how to feed. 3, stigma.
Right.
Julie, believe you me and our viewer, away from urban women that are empowered, there are some women who can't take these drugs even if you give them to them, because they fear, what if my husband finds out that I'm positive? Remember, many men do not go for antenatal, do not escort their women for antenatal.
Right.
Because if you went together, they tested your wife, they test you, and some men will tell you, for me, I'm okay. I'm sure my wife goes for antenatal. If we were sick, she would have told me. What if your wife found out that you're sick, but she was living a reckless life, and she thinks, one day she meandered, and she thinks she contracted HIV AIDS. Now she knows that she has had her lifestyle. It could be her problem.
Okay.
So she won't mention. Now you're already sick, you as a man, but you don't know. Because you feel your wife would have come home all in shutters. I got HIV AIDS, I've been faithful to you. How come now? So that is the mistake most men do. Now, the women fear to take these drugs. The women fear that when I give birth, if I tell these doctors, so that fear for them to take ARVs, for them to take these ARTs, is the reason they give birth to babies and then pass on. And lastly, also our health workers. I've ever been to a certain hospital, and what I saw was very unprofessional. This mother comes in, bakujako omusayi gwa sirimu. You know? Hey, asking publicly. You know? Hey, if you're positive, you take your drugs, your babies, tell us. If you're positive, before tell us, going through women. Now, sometimes our health workers are not that professional enough.
Right.
Away from that, we still have mothers who give birth through traditional healers. I mean, traditional birth attendants.
Midwives. The ones they call, what's the word?
There's a word they
Mulerwa.
call. Mulerwa, those ones. There are people, their husbands, who will tell their wives that for me, leave alone these exotic men in urban centers. The men in the corporate world. Let me tell you, Judy, in the rural settings there are types of men. There are men there. Very ignorant, not exposed, but these men have a way of oppressing women. If that is my child, for us, jaja so. That's why you give birth from. If that child is given birth in hospital, or you see wangi, that is not, so these women, we need to empower our women.
Right. Indeed, I agree with Robert on that. A woman needs to be empowered so that she can say no to things that indeed don't favor her life and threaten her life at the end of the day, or even her children's life at the end of the day. In your opinion, what effective strategies can be implemented to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of HIV or AIDS? Share your opinion to 0709 602592 by text WhatsApp, and on our X handle at UBC TV Uganda, the hashtag is UBCGMU. Getting into some of your comments. Good morning, thank you for the show. Ndemere Justus watching live from Nyabikon Kabale town. Thank you, Ndemere for being on the show. And somebody else comes through and says, good morning, presenters. I think the best is to extend services nearer to people. Osire John Francis from Namugongo, Charlie Wajala. What would you speak into the issue of services?
100%, I agree with him.
Right.
Proximity matters, because also a man will ask the woman, there are health centers here. Why do you have to go all that far for your antenatal? You get it? Ask, no. Because we must understand majority of our women in Uganda here. I've traversed this country. I've spoken to mothers. I've spoken to women. Over the weekend, I was in Jinja. That side, deep there, speaking to women, doing some research on some project. But I want to tell you, women are not that very empowered. A woman depends on the man for transport to go to antenatal. Even permission. Can you imagine? Permission. I have to go back to hospital. Then I need this money. They asked for this money. Now, a man will ask if this lady tested and she knows her HIV status. Because remember, women frequently visit health facilities. For us men, going to hospital,
you have to first be bedridden.
I must be very sick. Because even when I was growing up, my parents would tell me, Toro araranga mukazi. That a man doesn't fall sick like a woman. In my house, how will my children know that dad is in the bedroom, is sick? We will work, you do anything now. Women, because they constantly, anything you visit hospitals, she will know her HIV status. I know she's pregnant. But the health facility where she can get the ARTs and get this good treatment is a distance. Now there are these other centers that don't have what it takes.
Right.
Now the husband will ask. That's why I support him, that let's draw the services near. So that if the husband can spend 2,000 to and fro on a border. When the wife says, but for me, I want to go to the other health facility where it is 5,000, the husband will not give the money.
Right.
So are you going to give birth to the king? There is a health facility here. So and so's wife gave birth from here. So we need to bring services closer.
I know. And a very ignorant man sometimes is the hardest to deal with, I tell you. Now, Robert, you'll now share which regions or communities over your time of covering issues with HIV, which communities this issue is most prevalent and why you think so. But before you do that, allow me read this comment. Someone is giving you your flowers, although allow me kindly correct this. You say, good morning, Julie. Thank you for bringing that qualified doctor. He is more of a consultant. Thanks again. Dr. Robert is right, but poverty is one of the factors pushing young mothers to this act. Thank you very much, Lawrence. Just to set the record straight, Robert is not a doctor and is not speaking in the authority of a doctor, but he's speaking as a journalist who has covered stories on HIV and AIDS and has garnered the knowledge and information therein while covering these stories, and that's why he's able to speak with much authority. But on that note, please receive your flowers.
Thank you so much.
As you also share in which regions or communities you've noticed that this is prevalent and why you think it's actually very prevalent.
One, Busoga.
Okay.
You know, this has also got a connection with poverty.
Right.
Eastern, where poverty levels are very high. And also a bit of modernity. You know, northern Uganda, there is poverty.
Okay.
But they still have so much of culture in them. You find that, for example, when you go to Karamoja, one time I was in Karamoja and I had gone with NUSAF. I don't know, Judy, if you heard of that project. I worked on NUSAF 2. We were part of the giants that went to find out when they misused money like nothing.
Right.
Now, accidentally, because we were touring, I enter a manyata where girls sleep.
Okay.
You know, when you have a camera in your chest, sometimes you forget that you're not the determinant of everything. Our team was fined, they 2 goats.
For entering that manyata?
Well, yes, because when they're building their manyatas, this is for the girls, and this is for the father, then this. So for us, when they said, come in, had a good karam, majong, now me entered anyhow.
You entered whichever manyata?
Now, they still have those cultural connections. A young girl knows the discipline of giving away her body before marriage.
Right.
Now, there is poverty, but there's still culture and those harsh punishments. Now, Busoga region has a challenge. The Eastern has a challenge. There are high levels of poverty, but also there's so much of free life in one way or the other. Now, when you have poverty and some bit of moral decadence, it is very high for HIV to spread. But also in that area, one thing I've identified, when you look at the men there, quite a number of them, their levels of exposure are very low. They pride in certain things that are either ancient or cause harm to the female. You find, like I told you, a wife has to seek permission to go to hospital, not to notify. My better half will notify me.
That I've gone to the hospital?
I'll notify her. Because in case of anything, yes, they will ask, where is your husband?
Yes, notification is important. Yes. I agree.
Not seeking permission, but notification.
Right.
Now, when you find a good, I don't want to hearken on that tribe, but that good person from that area. One time I was working with some organization on HIV/AIDS, and we were doing some research, and we were asking women, some who confess they don't take ARVs. Said, if my husband finds out, we're asking some men. Say, no, for us here, Women are property. That's why
So you notice that
3, 4,
some of the things that are affecting the fight against HIV, it's a woman that's not empowered.
A woman that is not empowered. And I want to call upon fellow men. There was a time when our priority was educating the boy child. Today we must shift attention. I'm not saying we neglect the boy child.
Right, true story.
But we must empower the girl child with education. We must give the girl child opportunities. Because there is so much when you empower a girl child that you save a nation. Let me tell you, these 13% of all new infections being newborn babies, if you look critically at the mothers of these children, I'm sorry to use this example. If Julie was HIV positive, she can hardly produce a child that is HIV positive because she's empowered. When you look at these are women who are not empowered, who don't have the information.
Right.
Even when you take trainings, she has to ask the man. There's a training, some NGO, can I please go and attend? The man will have to ask ignorantly, not knowing what is the organization called, this, even pronounce it wrong and say, I think that one, that is NRM. I don't support NRM. Or that is NUP. An ignorant man refusing a woman to come for sensitization workshop that is teaching prevention of mother to child transmission.
Right.
When you go there, those are women activists. Don't go.
Right.
Let's empower our girl child.
Indeed. You can imagine handing your brain to someone. That's absurd. Every woman needs to be empowered at the end of the day. It's a relationship, a partnership, not a
because
master
even if we extend services,
yes.
Because currently our government, I want to thank government of Uganda and our development partners, it has brought everything there is to prevent HIV/AIDS.
Indeed. Let's close this with comments coming in from you, viewer. Thank you so much for being on the show. Good morning, Julie and Robert. As usual, I'm Cricket Derek Gagamel. There is nothing that can psychologically torture like being birthed with HIV. I can imagine that pain when a child reaches a level of understanding it. Some even fail to handle it because the fact is that it's out of laziness in most cases. If pregnant mothers do effective testing and know their status as early as possible and do the needful, then mother-to-child transmission can't be rampant. The Baganda say echijomanyi chinyaga bitono. I therefore appeal to all potential mothers immediately to conceive, think of the safety of that child. This is Derek Okidi from where? You did not mention where, but you say thank you for the program. And good morning, Uganda. This is Odaro Vincent from Murukatipe, Tororo. Pregnant women should always go to the hospital for antenatal, and they should give birth from the hospital, but not from traditional birth attendants, to avoid transmitting the virus to the newborn baby. Good morning, UBC. There should be compulsory HIV testing for every woman who goes for antenatal, and even at child delivery in both government and private facilities. Perusi in Mbale. Thank you for such a wonderful topic, but our mothers have to be sensitized in advance, as well as extending medical service villages. To Subira Ivan. Thank you, Ivan, for being on the show. Totally appreciate you, and we bring it to a close, ending it here. But indeed, I think from this conversation, what I've learned mostly from the lessons Robert has taught us from his experience, from the statistics, is that an empowered woman is one to help in the fight against HIV. So in the rural setting, no matter where you are, empower that woman, empower that girl child, and she'll help in the fight against HIV. Up next is JMU Tourism Express. We do have business, agenda, sports, so the show and the day are still young. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules Plant extract, scientific ratio, take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day, don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Ginshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
In 1986, a new chapter began. A fundamental change was etched into the heart of our nation. Uganda has since then witnessed a socio-economic transformation under the leadership of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Through peace and security of persons and property, economic growth, infrastructure expansion, health improvements, education, regional integration, industrialization, digital transformation, youth and women empowerment, wealth creation, among others. A nation once in recovery is now a beacon of regional stability. The people have spoken, and the NRM government has been given another term in office. The Board of Directors, Management and staff of the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation proudly congratulate His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa upon his resounding victory in the recent elections. Witness history as it happens as we broadcast the swearing-in ceremony on Tuesday, the 12th of May 2026, live at the Kololo Independence Grounds, here on UBC TV, our radio stations, and all our digital platforms. Ugandans, let's protect our gains. Long live NRM, long live Uganda. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
I welcome you to the Kabaka's Lake. My name is Elvis Sechibule, a guide working under Buganda Heritage and Tourism Board. The place where we are currently, we are at the largest man-made lake we have in the east and the central of Africa. Now, this lake has a very unique significance to the kingdom of Buganda and the country Uganda at large. In Buganda, whenever the kings came on the throne, the king had the main role of establishing for himself a palace. And this palace could be the capital for that very king or during his reign. The kings never liked their palaces to be far away from water bodies, especially Lake Victoria. And these water bodies would enhance trade. In case of any attack, the king would use this water body as an escape route. So Kabaka Mwanga established his palace at Mengo Hill in 1885, just up there. It's a very short distance from the lake here to the king's palace, Mwanga. That's why he established his palace. Then the official digging of this lake began in 1886. Kabaka Mwanga gave this work to a rich gentleman known as Musoke. Musoke spearheaded the initial digging of this lake. This lake was dug manually using hands. They could use tools, the local tools like hoes, spades, baskets, which could help them to carry out mud and dump it up there. Actually, most of the county chiefs in the kingdom, they were in charge of overseeing and looking after this work which was being done here. People could wake up early morning at exactly 6 a.m. and they could leave work at exactly 6 p.m. late in the evening. County chiefs, they could come here and inspect the rolls, and Musoke was the chief who could instruct the digging. Later, Musoke failed and the work was taken to Kagwandi Mukulaga. That was his name. Kagwandi Mukulaga did the second stage of the digging of this lake, and later Wakome Chiengera finalized this work. The intention of this lake was to reach Lake Victoria along the river which crosses to Chibuye, then Nalukolongo. The king had a palace in Munyonyo, that side. In his Munyonyo palace, that's why he could carry the goods from Munyonyo to the palace, or from the palace of Mengo, then to Munyonyo. So this lake is sitting in between two hills. We have the hill of Mengo and the hill of Rubaga. And actually it has two roads which cross it. We have Nabunya Road and then Mengo Ring Road. Before this lake was established, this was a swamp which was commonly known as Nsike. Nsike was the swamp where the Baganda people could do their athletics, especially wrestling and entertainment of the king. During the reign of Kabaka Daudi Chwa, on the island which is in the middle of the lake, which you can see, it has a name. It is called Nambi, Nantutuluru. That's why he could sit and entertain him with boat racing and then arm wrestling in the mud here. This lake has a lot of importances today. It's a tourist attraction in the middle of Kampala, and it houses a number of bird species. We have great cormorants, we have the Hadada ibis here, we have the open-bill stork, we have the cattle egrets, and many, many others. So visitors who are passionate about birding, Kabaka's Lake in Kampala is also a priority. More on this, to be more specific, this lake houses a number of fish species. In the future plans of the kingdom, for those who will be passionate about sport fishing, this will be a very, very good place. It has generated a number of employment opportunities to people living around it. The youths who wash vehicles around here. It has enhanced also building activities. The hotel where we are currently, Popo, St. Lawrence University, and other infrastructure around, whereby they drain water from this very, very lake. It is called the Kabaka's Lake. Kabaka literally means the king. That's the title given to the king of Buganda, Nyanja ya Kabaka. Today there is a plan of developing of this area, and the chairperson of this project was Freeman Chiimba. That was the role given to him. The last mapping showed that this lake is sitting on 57 acres of land, and the current depth is 5 feet deep in the ground. It's considered to be the largest man-made lake we have in the eastern center of Africa, and we expect that the developments which will be done on it will generate more employment opportunities, and it will be crucial to the people who are living around it. I thank you very much. My name is Elvis Sechibule, a guide with the Buganda Heritage and Tourism Board.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Now, away from tourism, let's look at business. The Bank of Uganda has said the intentions to usurp its powers could cripple its operational independence. The Governor Bank of Uganda, Michael Ating-Ego, said the best option is to stop the introduction of the Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026. In verbatim, the Governor Ating said Bank of Uganda is established to protect national sovereignty from genuine foreign interference as enshrined in Part 6 of the Bank of Uganda Act. Let's take a look at this story.
The Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026 is approved.
And Chair, in addition, with respect to matters concerning financial institutions, the Financial Institutions Act takes precedence over any enactment, and in case of conflict, it shall prevail.
Michael talks about regulatory fragmentation, which could result in overlapping regulations and affect economic growth. The governor warns about the intentions to usurp the independence of Bank of Uganda.
This assessment argues that the bill in its current form risks introducing regulatory fragmentation and subjecting this economy to voluntary shocks, potentially undermining the very economic strength upon which true national sovereignty is built.
Michael Ating-Ego reveals how the legislation risks reversing 3 decades of successful financial development through liberalization that has sustained economic growth.
What this bill is introducing, it is introducing what we call time and policy inconsistency. That is going to threaten the tenfold growth that the government of Uganda is aspiring. If you look at our investment levels that are required, they are far much lower than the savings we have. So we require foreign capital to fill up this gap.
The central bank has asked Parliament to allow it to retain exclusive authority over the financial sector.
Because the bill is so restrictive in regulation, it's likely to drive actors into informality. We are going to have informal channels again coming back. Think like the Hawala systems or the unregulated financial instruments, which is eroding the tax base and undermining the bill stated goal of transparency.
BOU is against the requirement that the minister approves foreign financial support above 400 million shillings and the prohibition of banks from paying out funds to foreign agents without the minister's authorization.
Also, Honorable Members of Parliament, we are now in a digital economy where real-time transactions take place. Now, we require the Minister of Internal Affairs to approve any payments that are going to be made by agents of foreigners to foreigners. In real-time payments, straight-through processing, at what point does the Minister of Internal Affairs come in?
Several stakeholders have objected to the proposed legislation, which government claims will be the only solution to regulate foreign interests that targets destabilizing the country's sovereignty. The Financial Intelligence Authority Executive Director Samuel Wandera has backed Bank of Uganda by presenting to the MPs how the bill will likely cause more harm than good.
And Chair, of course, given the good intentions at the Financial Intelligence Authority, we think that this bill may create some unintended consequences, which will be increased informality and illegal channels of financial inflows into the country, such as alternative value transfer systems, including the use of the hawalas, the virtual assets, and this may obscure the visibility of such transactions by law enforcement agencies.
Bugweri County MP Abdu Katuntu accused the FIA of negligence, which could have provoked government to introduce fresh legislation.
You remember we set you up by an act of parliament because we thought everything here which has been brought, you'd be able to handle it. Is this a confession that actually you failed in your duties, and therefore we are setting up a parallel system? And since the bill came up, have you to either Bank of Uganda or FIA talk to your line minister, say what is this going on? If you haven't, then you're not doing.
These institutions already are operating effectively under well-established statutory mandates, and reaffirming their primacy would preserve the regulatory coherence and accountability, avoid dual licensing and inspection.
The concerns presented by the authorities, including Bank of Uganda and the Financial Intelligence Authority, could hold intentions of the government to add color to the safeguards of the Constitution. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gwitabinji, UBC News.
Well, away from the bill now, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has launched the National Petroleum Oil Policy 2025. The new policy, unveiled by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, reflects the current realities and progress in the sector.
Fast oil, fulfilling the promise, forging the future. The Energy Minister, Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa, said the gathering marks the dawn of commercialization, a transition from development into a sustained production phase expected to shape Uganda's economy for decades.
And to all of you stakeholders, let us remain focused, disciplined, and united in purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, Uganda's oil and gas story is one of patience, resilience, and determination.
At the start of the convention, Uganda's 2008 National Oil and Gas Policy was formally retired and replaced by the new National Petroleum Policy 2025, which reflects the current realities and progress within the sector.
So in this policy, we've consolidated the entire value chain from upstream, midstream, down to the downstream, and also we are undertaking reforms to equally consolidate the regulation of the entire value chain through the Petroleum Authority of Uganda.
On his part, the Deputy Speaker applauded the strides made in Uganda's oil and gas industry, noting its strategic role in delivering the country's tenfold economic growth agenda.
Uganda is moving from a construction phase into a long-term production economy. The convention highlights this shift from capex-driven investments to an opex-driven phase that will sustain operations for 20 to 30 years. We are therefore moving from building the infrastructure to running and maintaining it over the long term, creating sustained opportunities for many years to come.
He, however, cautioned the line ministry and key stakeholders against continued shifting of production timelines, warning that Ugandans have been patient long enough and any further delays will be deeply frustrating.
This business of extending, Minister especially now that we've had the war in Iran, you'll hear that now containers have delayed. You hear, please, this business of being a country known for extension. Extension is the turabia zimara.
Joint venture partners Total Energies EP Uganda and China National Offshore Oil Corporation (CNOOC) reaffirmed their commitment to ensuring Uganda joins the ranks of oil exporting nations sooner rather than later.
Our readiness roadmap had been anchored on three pillars. First, infrastructure readiness. Our central processing facility, feed lines, flow lines, and water intake systems are all complete or nearing completion.
As we transition from construction to operation, we should not think that everything is done and we don't have any future challenges in front of us. The production phase will come with its own challenges.
With 2026 designated as the year of fast oil, the Deputy Speaker said the era of ceremonial speeches is over. What remains now is execution.
As Uganda races against yet another oil and gas production timeline, the message from the August House is very clear. This multi-billion-dollar project cannot survive on broken promises and shifting timelines. Dennis Igoa for UBC in Munyonyo.
Well, thank you, Dennis Sigoa. Now, a report from civil society organizations cited weak enforcement of Access to Information Act as one of the major enablers of corruption in the country. The Right Honorable First Prime Minister Rebecca Kadaga said additional structures are required to make the law more effective.
The law was made in rush because it does not address most of the pertinent issues, and that is why when we are commenting or doing a comparative study of the laws across the region, you'll discover that countries like Tanzania, Kenya and Rwanda that came up with their access to information laws picked lots of leaves from Uganda's law because it had quite a number of gaps which are yet to address.
I think there are other steps that need to be completed in order to make it more effective. Otherwise, it's already in place since 2005.
Every ministry, agency, and department is supposed to submit reports showing that we received this number of information requests from the public, we responded to this number, and we rejected this particular number, and also state reasons why they did not respond to those requests. So, but our practice in this country, from the time the law was enacted in 2005, we found that most ministries, agencies and departments have not been complying. They have not been submitting those annual reports to Parliament. The big question is, where is the Parliament at this moment?
I want to commit the government that we shall work with our regional partners to harmonize our approaches to access to information, support the exchange of best practices, data and technical expertise, encourage cross-border collaboration on investigations that rely on information from multiple sources, such as corruption, environmental harm, and public health emergencies.
Can we have a commission or an authority that is existing that can handle that, such that we avoid this whole scapegoat of we do not have finances, we do not have human resources, so we cannot establish an independent commission. This responsibility can be given to another or an already existing commission to help with that process.
Many Ugandan citizens are not aware of their right to information and how to exercise it in the law. And this has affected the ability to demand for information, which in turn affects service delivery.
And that brings us to the end of our business stories. But just to let you know, you have only 2 days left. That is declaration of income, assets and liabilities for public officers. Countdown, 2 days to go. So make sure you do declare. You're left with 48 hours left. List of non-compliant officers is being compiled. Ensure your name is not included. Declare now. And Julie will be having the Deputy IGG, Dr. Patricia, on this. And if you're a public servant, please do not risk. This time round, it's not business as usual. Let's go for a break and give room for our guest.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation, when people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo, clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887 and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Ginshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning. Eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Ginshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
In 1986, a new chapter began. A fundamental change was etched into the heart of our nation. Uganda has since then witnessed a socio-economic transformation under the leadership of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Through peace and security of persons and property, economic growth, infrastructure expansion, health improvements, education, regional integration, industrialization, digital transformation, youth and women empowerment, wealth creation, among others. A nation once in recovery is now a beacon of regional stability. The people have spoken, and the NRM government has been given another term in office. The Board of Directors, Management and staff of the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation proudly congratulate His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa upon his resounding victory in the recent elections. Witness history as it happens as we broadcast the swearing-in ceremony on Tuesday, the 12th of May 2026, live at the Kololo Independence Grounds, here on UBC TV, our radio stations, and all our digital platforms. Ugandans, let's protect our gains. Long live NRM, long live Uganda. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for choosing UBC TV every morning, and this particular one as well. Welcome you to Good Morning Uganda. It's time for the agenda. Welcome back from the business desk with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. My name is Julie F. Nantala, and on the agenda today we're looking at the declaration of assets and liabilities by civil servants. We looked at it last week, but hey, the deadline is tomorrow, and it's just a day left until this exercise is closed. What do we need to know at this last minute? Having this conversation with the Deputy IGG, Dr. Patricia Achan Okiria, to help us understand better how best to declare our assets and liabilities, those of us who are civil servants. Be part of the conversation, 0709-602592, by sending a WhatsApp message. Once again, good morning and welcome to the show. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning, Julie, and good morning, viewers out there.
Right.
I'm very happy to be here, specifically talk about the mandatory declaration of incomes, assets and liabilities by public servants. You realize we are now at the injury hour. Usually Manchester United at the injury hour is when we score. So I believe that public servants out there are going to score and we are going to achieve progress here.
Indeed. We can now tell which team Doctor is for and who she rivals and hates, just in case she does. We all know Man fans for that. But away from that, Doctor, with the declaration deadline fast approaching, which is almost now hours away, what percentage of civil servants have complied so far?
Well, at the moment we are standing at 62% and the response is good, it's improving. I was in Kabale yesterday and Kabale district was at 38, the municipality was at 62, the university was at 52, but there was steady progress. We had challenges with the systems, you know, even the brain, when you jam it with a lot to do, then it slows down. So the system was basically slowing down, but the technical people were working around the clock to ensure that we get quick fixes and assist the civil servants to ensure that they declare. Yes.
Now, are there particular districts or ministries that are lagging behind so far?
Well, I had a regional tour this month. I went to West Nile region, and I saw that West Nile region was doing very well, but they also had challenges, especially with public servants who are teachers who had challenges with network, and they had to move to the district places and in order to access network and also to access the services of the focal point persons. But nevertheless, there was very good progress in West Nile region. I started with Acholi sub-region and I saw also very good progress because people are responding very, very well, and they started declaring. There are people who like the last 11th hour things, and many Ugandans are like that. 11th hour is when they will rise up and go and jump the system, log in, and everybody wants to declare at a go. That's what slows the system. And people have complained that Easter took their time, because remember the month of April, the 1st is when we launched, and then there was Easter.
Yes.
So they then relaxed and are now doing it at the 11th hour. But nevertheless, we are here to encourage the public servants who have not yet declared their incomes, assets and liabilities to do so. If you're having challenges, we have focal point persons, we have our toll-free lines, we have the head office here readily available to give you all the necessary support with the declaration exercise. Thank you.
Right. And how exactly is the inspectorate assisting or helping civil servants in one way or the other to make sure that this is brought to fruition?
Well, we have popularized the exercise as much as possible to enable the civil servants appreciate the spirit behind the exercise. But we are also giving a lot of support. Like if you pass through Parliament Avenue yesterday, you would see a queue around the office. For those who have failed to declare, they were basically coming for technical support and assistance with the declaration. And even in the regional office in Kabale, there were many people lining up for assistance, and we are very happy to assist because we know that this declaration exercise is one of the tools we use in fighting corruption and promoting accountability and transparency and building trust among the people we serve, among Ugandans. So that if Ugandans know what their leaders is worth or what their leaders have, then they build that trust knowing that whatever it is they have as their property, they acquired genuinely, yes, within their well-known sources of income. So this is a very, very important exercise, and it is mandatory for the public officers to declare their incomes, their assets and liabilities.
All right.
Yes.
In case you're just joining in, we are looking at the declaration of assets and liabilities by civil servants, and to help us understand it better is Dr. Patricia Achan Okiria, who is the Deputy IGG. Public servant, please be attentive to learn how best you can be helped or how best you can engage at this last minute, as the deadline is tomorrow. But be part of the conversation. Ask that question to 0709 602592. Send a WhatsApp message, and definitely we'll be able to speak into it, as Dr. Patricia is here to help us understand it better. Now, Doctor, what happens to a civil servant who fails to declare?
Well, there are offences within the law again.
Right.
Failure to declare, under declaration, and declaration in anticipation, anticipatory declaration. We have those penalties under the law for all those breaches. And the penalties include fines, demotion, imprisonment, and so on, even forfeiture of the property. But this is handled at the Leadership Code Tribunal, because when we receive these declarations, we also conduct verifications, and where the red flags, we then investigate, prepare a report, and submit to the Leadership Code Tribunal for prosecution. And our prosecutors prosecute in the Leadership Code Tribunal as well.
Right. And somebody comes through, quite a lengthy message, but let me take the best time I can to read it. Good morning, Madam Musisi and Dr. Patricia. Dear Madam Deputy IGG, I write to convey my message, my sincere appreciation to you and the entire Inspectorate of Government for your unwavering efforts in drumming up the message of integrity among public servants. Your continued sensitization on asset declaration is critical in fostering accountability and ensuring that we as public officers remain exemplary to the citizens that we serve. The Office of the President, Bukedea, fully supports the Inspectorate's mandate, and we have consistently mobilized all officers under our jurisdiction to comply with the law. However, Madam, I wish to humbly raise a concern regarding the persistent system failures being experienced on the IG online declaration system. Many of our public servants, especially first-time declarants, have reported that they have not received their access codes to date. This has created anxiety and risks undermining compliance despite the willingness of the officers to declare. We kindly request your office to intervene and rectify the technical challenges, or consider extending the deadline to accommodate those affected by the system downtime. In conclusion, we thank you and the entire Inspectorate for your tireless efforts in promoting transparency and the fight against corruption. We wish you a continued success as you execute your mandate in this new Chisanja. For God and my country, Sam Opeto, Assistant Resident District Commissioner, Bukedea District. Quite lengthy,
yes,
but very rich as well.
Thank you very much, the Assistant RDC Bukedea Samuel Opeto, for raising those concerns. We have had challenges with the system, but the focal point persons are doing their best. The technical people are doing their best to ensure that those issues get fixed. People were complaining that they're not getting the tokens in time, and then we had to work around the clock to ensure that they get assisted. But nevertheless, we still encourage the public officers to try what it is you can do to ensure that you declare your income, your assets and liabilities to the Inspectorate of Government. We are at the 11th hour, which I was calling injury hour. And for those of you who support Manu out there, you know what I'm talking about, that even at the injury hour, we are able to make a score. Right. So please, how to declare, go to www.igg.go.ug, access the IG online declaration system and log in, and follow the guided process. Review all your entries carefully. Remember, you declare honestly, you declare truthfully, and you should be always very, very down to earth. Save and print the form for your personal records. Just in case you cannot print it, you submit the declaration. You later on have to request the IG to give you access to that form as and when you will need it. Yes.
Right. And another comment comes through: declaration of assets and liabilities isn't a punishment. It's patriotism. Uganda loses 10 trillion yearly to corruption. That's 2 times the health budget. We won't fix schools, drugs, and roads if the people handling the money can't show where their money comes from. Uganda in 2026 is tired of how did he build that on salary. We want, here's my form, check for yourself. That is a government of the people. This is Shaban Ali in Soroti City.
Thank you very much, Shaban Ali, because rightly it's mandatory.
Right.
It's mandatory for public officers to declare their incomes because it's provided for within the law under Section 5 of the Leadership Code Act. But it's also an obligation of a public officer to declare their income, assets, and liabilities. Remember, for us, we use it as a tool to fight against corruption. It helps us, first of all, to reduce the opportunity or incentive for corruption, but it also increases the timely identification of corrupt behavior out there. So declaration has other benefits, including promotion of transparency and accountability. It also helps us to prevent and detect corruption, illicit enrichment, and conflict of interest, and also promoting trust among the public, because we can't be saying we are serving the people who do not trust us. People have got to trust leaders and public officers who are supposed to be serving them, so that they don't have the suspicion, like Shaban has put it, suspicion. So this declaration, let us embrace it positively, because it's an obligation, and our obligations are categorized as transparency and accountability, because when you declare a true account of your income, assets, and liabilities within the required period, then you're responsible and fulfilling that obligation. When you disclose only the income, assets, and liabilities in which you have an interest, then that is still your responsibility. It's an obligation. So provide explanations and supporting documents when asked by the Inspectorate of Government, and ensure that all your declared information is accurate and it is truthful, because we have said it's an obligation of a leader, of a public officer, to declare his incomes, and it's mandatory as required by the law, and helps us also to sieve and promote ethical conduct and avoiding conflict of interest in service. Yes.
Very profound at that. Therein one would wonder, how does the Inspectorate make sure that all public servants, regardless of rank, actually comply?
Well, we have a database of all public servants and all leaders, and this compliance is checked also on the system. If they don't declare, then the system will basically show the red flags of people who have defaulted, and it will give us pointers of where to start from. Even for the verifications, when we receive the declarations, we begin verifications from the red flags. The system does the generated generates the people who have declared and those who haven't, and shows us even the suspicious declarations. It directly shows us, and we're able to pick on those and start right away with the verifications, and then we do the investigations and prepare reports and submit cases of breach to the Leadership Code Tribunal. Yes.
Now therein also, how does the IGG office also verify the accuracy of information being given?
Well, for purposes of accuracy and clarity, we do physical visits to see the actual property, just to ensure that what it is was declared is commensurate to, it's truthful. We basically send officers, we send teams down on the ground to check on the buildings, to check on the land, to check on the farm, and we see, and then we also do bank inspection orders, and we check and see that the incomes they declared is actually truthful, and that is what goes on their accounts. We are able to see where the money comes from and where it is going. We are able to see proceeds from businesses, banked, and so on, as declared. So that is a verification where people go to the ground and assess the truthfulness of what it is that was submitted to us in the declaration.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, good morning, madam. Now, of us, like me, I'm not receiving my login token number. How can I get help, please? Over to you, doctor.
Well, you can get help directly by contacting the IG, which regional office is closest to you, or the focal point persons we have within the districts, within the ministries, departments and agencies. We have focal point persons who can help with that technical bit of assisting people to get their login numbers, but also there are people who change emails. Sometimes people have to register new emails and then give the focal point person to assist them. Even the phone numbers, many Ugandans keep changing phone numbers. You find someone has changed phone numbers over 21 times, but keep updating so that at least we have the current phone number, because that token will come in on SMS and you'll receive it from your phone.
Right.
So if you've given a valid phone number, it will be very easy to get that token and be able to access the system and declare your incomes, your assets and liabilities.
Right. You've talked about calling contacts that are there in reaching out to the focal point persons. And someone comes through and says, some of us have tried and failed, but when you try to even call the contacts provided, they don't receive or pick up our calls. What should we do?
Well, we have places where you can get support. Many people have complained that when you call, you don't get any feedback. But for purposes of this show, I think let me share the numbers again. We visit the IG website, www.igg.go.ug, but we also have the toll-free numbers. We have 0800 111 666, and then we have 0800 111 777. Those are the toll-free numbers. But remember, if many people are calling these numbers at the same time, you may not go through easily. But we also have the call mobile hotlines. We have 0783 991 326, 0783 991 326, and another call mobile hotline is 0783 991 320. We also have the WhatsApp line. WhatsApp, you can send your message on WhatsApp 0707 721 146. And then we have the email. If you have tried calling, you've tried the toll-free number, you've tried the hotline, and we have the WhatsApp, we've tried it, but we also have the email. You can send an email to declarations@igg.go.ug. Believe you me, all the officers of the Inspectorate of Government are working hard to ensure that they support you. All the directorates are now giving support to the Leadership Core Directorate in order to ensure that we give the necessary support to the public officers out there. And all the regional offices are working. I've been to the regions and I've seen what is there. We have had conversations with the district officials, the municipality officials and city officials, and we are very, very optimistic that we are going to get good progress with this exercise. Yes.
Right. Thank you very much, Doctor. That information is rather very profound. And the numbers, the contacts have been shared, alternative contacts, which we will definitely be reiterating as the show goes on. But thank you so much for watching UBC TV. On Good Morning Uganda, it's the agenda, and we're looking at the declaration of public assets and liabilities by civil servants. Deadline is tomorrow. Have you declared yours already? Or are you stuck, or are you waiting, or you actually don't even know? Just in case, this is the place to be for more information and for you to make that decision before you are caught by the deadline, which is tomorrow, the 30th of April. Now, let's look at some of the declarations that take place. The agenda is fighting corruption, obviously.
Yes.
So to what extent does the public have access to these declarations?
Well, once somebody has submitted this declaration form online, you don't have access. You cannot get back to, unless you write to the IGG and request for a copy of this declaration form. And we have said it is mandatory, and it is going to be also a requirement for all public servants out there, just in case you want to be promoted or you're applying for a job somewhere, you may be required to submit a copy of your declaration form, your latest declaration form. Why? Because we are saying this is a significant tool in the fight against corruption, and we have been engaging with Ministry of Public Service. Remember, it was launched by the Minister of Public Service.
Right.
We have had head service, and it is now going to be a requirement that the public officers out there submit a copy of the declaration as and when you want promotion or you're applying for a job. Just like the Judicial Service Commission, it's a requirement that if you want to apply for any job within the judiciary, you are required to submit a copy of your latest declaration. So then officers write to us and we avail this copy.
Right.
But it's also very important because remember, when you put, you submit your declaration, in future when you cease to be, or if God has called you home, your relatives, your next of kin, your children will require this declaration to know what it is that you have and use it just in case you have died intestate without a will. So this will be very, very helpful. But also, it helps government to look at your graph, to look at how public servants are performing in terms of personal growth and development. Is your graph going up or it's coming down? There are times we have to use this to make recommendations for improvement in people's allowances or salaries or well-being, because if you note that the graph is constantly going down, then like people have said, we don't have what to declare, we only earn salary and so on, but we have said declare your income, including all sources of your money, salary, allowances, rental income, business earnings, and even the earnings from outside jobs. And within your assets, declare your property of value, all your property of value, land, registered or unregistered, houses, vehicles, company shares, livestock, and so on and so forth. Under liabilities, please declare all the loans from the SACCO, your obligations, your mortgages, and other outstanding debts, because it's very, very important for us to know that this is what you have, these are the loans you have acquired, and these are your obligations. Because remember, we have said this is a tool in the war against corruption. Yes, and it helps us basically to detect, and it also helps you to promote transparency and accountability, because the fight against corruption is not just a duty of one institution. We have said it's the people's war, and they are doing this is basically walking in the light. When you declare it's a people's war, because it's not a duty of just one institution, nor of any leader by himself, but we need to have this collective approach, and that is why we keep encouraging leaders and public officers there to be responsible enough to declare. Let us govern with humility. Let us be able to serve this country with accountability. Let us inspire our youth to believe in a corrupt-free Uganda, and this is just one step in making sure that we are promoting transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption in our work. Yes.
Very profound. Now, on your screen are the numbers that doctor, or contacts that doctor has shared for you to be able to seek all the help that you need, and definitely we'll also be rereading them for you as the show goes on. But to get into your views, quite a number, quite a bit, and I believe that doctor will be able to speak into each one as uniquely as it comes. Good morning, UBC. This is Derek Okidi from Gulu. Thanks for the program. Thank you, Derek, for being on the show, and major greetings to everyone in Gulu. Hi, why are some of us having no active invitation? And even the focal persons have failed to help us. Babidia Dorothy, a teacher. All right, over to you, doctor. Why are some of us having no active invitation? That's the question.
From Derek.
This is from Dorothy, a teacher.
Well, Dorothy, please approach any nearby Inspectorate of Government officers. If the assistance cannot come quickly from the focal point person, then the Inspectorate of Government officers should be able to sort you very, very fast. Yes.
All right. Hi, my password was forgotten. I've opened up a new one, but I'm not yet in the system. Please, I need your help.
Remember, we have talked about the system issues for many people logging in at the same time.
Right.
But you have got to be patient and keep trying. If it doesn't work out still, please approach our offices or use any of those numbers we have shared for you to get some quick quick assistance.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Good morning, Dr. Patricia. My issue is about the allowances per annum, whereby US in a certain institution, I think you meant us, although it's written in caps lock, but you said whereby us in a certain institution, we received it once and that was 50,000. Since then, we have never received any allowance that can, What can we put in that section? Thank you. Should we put that, or we are confused? And the section they're referring to is allowances per annum, as you're filling in the document.
Yes, if you're earning allowances, per annum, you add it up times 12. But if you have not earned any of that allowance, you can leave that as a gap and move on. But indicate your salary. Leave that as a gap simply because you have not been earning.
Right.
But if you have been earning, you've earned it once or twice, indicate it there. Yes, because I know some institutions could be having issues with wages and allowances and yes.
Okay. Hello, it's stated that my email is not existing in the login after several submissions. Why don't IGG allow extensions up to June to allow everyone do the declaration? This is Akena Richard.
Well, Mr. Richard Akena, unfortunately, this is a legal provision within the Leadership Code Act. We cannot extend that time. Please sort out that issue. If you've forgotten your email, open another email and use it. The focal point person will be able to assist you to do that quickly. But just in case you can't get the focal point persons, call our lines. The numbers I've just shared for quick response, because all our officers out there are working tirelessly to ensure that they sort those issues. Yes.
All right. And just to reiterate the numbers that Doctor has given us this morning for you to engage and be helped. First and foremost, there is the website, and that is www.ig.go.ug. Get to that, click it, and follow prompts as they lead you. But also the toll-free numbers 0800 111 666 or 0800 111 777. Toll-free numbers for you to call. And they're in our mobile hotlines 0783 941 326 or 0783 991 320. And the WhatsApp as displayed on your screen 0707 7214, pardon me, 0707 721146. And an email is declaration@igg.go.ug. That's the email for you to engage and be part of the exercise. Now, please tell us, Doctor, what are some of the challenges your office is facing or always faces during this exercise?
Well, the major challenge is the 11th hour, the last minute thing, where Ugandans wait for the 11th hour. Like now we have got 2 days to go. Everybody else runs to the system, and even for leaders, that's what we experienced last year in March. Yes, but also as a challenge, our office, resources for verifications. We basically cut the coat according to the cloth. We are not resourced enough to be able to conduct the verifications on every declaration, and that is why we basically do the red flags. We pick on the risk areas and begin with those, and then we do the compliance checks for every case we receive involving a leader or public officer. We then check quickly to see whether he declared, whether what he declared was truthful and within his well-known sources of income, and so on. So those are the challenges we face. Then the system challenges, like now the 11th hour and everybody logging in and the system slowing down. We only do the exercise prayerfully that the system does not crash. Because when you have so many people in the system at the same time, and here we're talking about 380 public officers. So you find so many people, 380,000. Yes. Last week on Thursday I checked, and there were 10,000 people logged onto the system, and it had started slowing down. So, but when they do it in a spread out manner, where others morning, mid-morning, afternoon, midnight and whatnot, it is a bit easier. But our people are working tirelessly. Some people leave office at midnight or after midnight, because they are there to ensure that we support, we give all the necessary support to the public officials. Like I told you, I just returned from Kabale, and we are popularizing the exercise. I've been to all other regions other than Western, but the spirit behind this is to make the public officers appreciate the exercise and respond, because we've said it is mandatory and it's also an obligation.
Right.
It's a sign of responsibility on part of the leader or public officer. Because when we use this as a tool to fight against corruption, corruption, by the way, is not simply a crime, but it's a betrayal of trust. And if we are saying that this declaration exercise is to help us build trust among the people we are leading, then I think we leaders need to embrace this and take it positively, and the public officers should also really appreciate this exercise, because when you look at corruption, corruption robs our children of classrooms, it robs our patients of drugs, even our farmers of the farm markets and citizens of their dignity. So it has got that far-reaching effect. You look at it as a silent killer, a silent war that is undermining every achievement of government. So if we are talking about improving our GDP or socio-economic transformation and development, I think we all need to put our heads towards promoting this exercise and causing a mindset change among the citizens, so that they get to appreciate what it is government is doing, they get to receive the services they expect to receive from government, and they get to support the institutions of government. If systems are working, then people will appreciate the work of the government institutions. To fight corruption is not optional, but it's a moral imperative. It's a moral imperative. It's also a patriotic duty and a sacred responsibility entrusted to public officers out there, entrusted to leaders, entrusted to all citizens out there. That's why we keep saying this is a people's war. Please report cases of corruption. We will play our part as institutions to investigate and prosecute and bring to book all those who are in breach. But this exercise is nevertheless intended to promote trust and build transparency and accountability as we do our work and serve this country.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Good morning, Deputy IGG. I'm Okedi Gerald from Bukedea District. Considering the technical challenges and slow system reported by many users, I inclusive, will the deadline be extended to give all public servants a fair chance to complete their declarations, putting in mind that it's a system with some issues, not a declarant? All right. How would you speak into this, given the reasoning he's sharing? That
the law is quite clear.
That it's the declarant, rather it's not the declarant, it's rather the system.
We have said that it is mandatory within the law under Section 5 of the Leadership Code Act that all public officers declare their incomes, assets and liabilities to the Inspectorate of Government after 5 years in the month of April. And the month of April has come and it is ending tomorrow. So just ensure that you're within the timelines and declare your incomes, your assets and liabilities. For system issues, we have shared where you can get assistance and technical support to ensure that you declare. Within Bukede, I believe we have focal point persons there.
Right.
Every district, municipality has focal point persons. Every organization, institution, ministry, department, agency has focal point persons readily available to give the technical support. Please find them, let them help you and declare, because we are not extending, because it's a requirement of the law, as I have already shared. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, Dr. Achan. Thank you so much for the information. However, what happens when you log in and the system shows a red message that you have no active information to declare? Please log a service request to be assisted. That's what the system is telling this person. And they said that they sent messages to IGG, but they haven't received any response. That is, you did not leave your name, but yes, that's the problem.
It is very, very unfortunate, but remember I've shared a number of options, a number of numbers. Please contact those numbers for assistance. But just in case, if you're close to our offices, please walk to our offices, because we have technical people on ground ready to give you the necessary assistance and support to help you declare promptly. Thank you.
Doctor, thank you for the show and thank you for the work that you are doing. I'm Stephen from Kumi. I've kept on trying to declare trying to the declaration, but the system seems to be letting me down. Please help us improve on the system. Someone else says, hi to you too. Thank you for watching. Good morning. How can I get my submission token because I don't receive it in my SMS? Thank you. And hello, please, I need your guidance on how to declare my assets with IGG. It's a process that Doctor has been speaking into. Hi, the system is locked. Internet cafes charge us highly. This is a challenge. I'm Sam, officer from Nakapiripirit district. We have others who have filled the form, but when it comes to submitting, the submission token is not given. I kindly request you to give some clarification here. And good morning, UBC. This is Afande Oyo Alonso from Bale. Why are people over struggling to get the tokens? Login tokens disturbing, and worst of all, some people are still waiting for submission tokens which are not coming. Could the problem be in the IGG system? Time is running out. Thank you. Hi, this is Stefan. Why is it that when you call the numbers given, they don't pick us up? And good morning, UBC. How are you? I think that Major here spoken in into most of them, yes. And the issue of the numbers is something that's also standing out and still staying. Yes, the submission token. We have focal point persons, like I said. Nakapiripirit is far from Moroto, but we have focal point persons within Nakapiripirit who can help out with that. Right. But as long as you have declared, the submission token is sent to, if you've updated the database with your email, the current email, and your phone number, the submission token is sent as an SMS to your phone number. In case the submission token has not come, I'm still urging you to contact the focal point person. If it is a system failure, if it is getting slow, it will eventually come. The focal point person will help you. But if you're close to our offices, please go to the offices for support. Like right now, all our offices are having people being assisted. So the submission tokens have been problematic, but it is unfortunate, but I know that it can be sorted. It can work out, because I have been to the countryside and it was also a problem, but we engaged with the technical people and people are getting the submission tokens. Right. So please contact the focal point persons and they will be able to assist you. Just in case they are not able, we have our regional offices. Contact Moroto Regional Office, because all the technical staff there are now geared towards giving support for declarations. Yes. Very well, thank you. Now, our time is fast spent, and of course we have to make way for the sports update. But Doctor, what are your parting shots on this 11th hour? Well, my parting shots on this 11th hour is to all public officers out there. Please ensure that you declare. I know it's a problem of 11th hour. We are now at injury hour, but do all it takes to ensure that you declare, so that we do not verify and take you to the Leadership Code Tribunal for being in breach. And remember, I said this is a tool to fight against corruption. Imagine Uganda, where every child can access quality education, every patient receives proper health care, every farmer benefits from the markets, and citizens trust government. That is the Uganda which we are looking at. That Uganda is possible only if we are able to defeat corruption. And this exercise is just a tool to promote transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption. Those who are having system issues, we are readily available to help you sort those system issues, and you'll be able to get your tokens and be able to declare. But thank you very much for viewing this program. Thank you for the comments, for the questions, for observations, and even for airing out your concerns. May God bless you, and I wish you successful declarations out there. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is Dr. Patricia Achan Okiria, the Deputy IGG, speaking with us regarding the declaration of assets and liabilities of public servants. I hope you've been helped engage the contacts, and of course also head over to the office in case all fails, so that at least you're able to beat the deadline as we all hold hands together in Uganda to fight corruption and encourage transparency for our government. That being said, we end it here. Ruben is coming with a sports update. For God and my country, good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.